Greetings and salutations, loyal viewers of this channel. My name is Sean, and if I've timed everything right, if I set up everything well in advance and the YouTube gods did not go out of their way to screw me over, you are watching this video, or at least it's being released, on Christmas. So let's get into the Christmas spirit. Let's talk about it. Yes, I broke out the Santa hat for this. Long-term viewers of the channel know that this Santa hat existed before, and it looks absolutely amazing, and it makes you feel the holiday spirit. And in the vein of holiday spirit, which is all about hope, by the way, as quoted by one of the greatest lines to be in a trailer and never make a movie. Of course, I'm talking about Star Wars Rogue One, that lady who said this line.
Rebellions are built on hope.
I can't believe they cut that totally not on the nose line from the film. Also, fun fact about Star Wars Rogue One, before I walked into the theater, I thought to myself, what's the absolute worst, most cheesiest member-berry thing that could occur in this movie? And I decided to tell my friends that at the end of the movie, they give the plans to somebody, and then somebody's going to be like, what is this? And then somebody is going to respond and say, A New Hope, like Star Wars A New Hope. Now, if you've seen Star Wars Rogue One, you know that that line almost happened, meaning that I thought of the dumbest, cheesiest, most ham-fisted member-berry scene that I could possibly think of 2 minutes before it came out in the theater, and then it happened in the movie, making me superior to Kathleen Kennedy and everybody behind Disney Star Wars. But we're not going to go for false hope. We're not going to go for nostalgia or anything like that. Today we're going to talk about San Francisco, because San Francisco business owners and landlords are actually doing one of the most badass things you could possibly imagine, which is threaten to withhold taxes in order to get actual public services out of the city of San Francisco. It's amazing, it's stunning, but before we get into that, no sponsor for this video. Not only is it Christmas, but this video is actually brought to you by the people who signed up over at actualjusticewarrior.com/join, where you can get a 14-day free trial, which includes early access to videos available on the secret video page, which becomes unlocked when you sign up for membership. Thank you so much to you guys. That is your Christmas present to me. I really appreciate it. Now let's get into the video.
Also in San Francisco, many businesses and property owners in the Tenderloin say their neighborhood is on the verge of collapse. Crime and drugs. They say since the city hasn't done its job, they want the taxes they paid this year back in their wallets.
You know, the Republicans are often characterized as the no taxes or low taxes party. They're often characterized as the people who get fed up with government and actually demand change. But give credit where credit is due. San Francisco, the liberal hellhole that it is, actually has residents with the balls to go to their city council and demand their tax money back due to the fact that they're not getting what they pay for in public services. When is the last time you saw a conservative town or a conservative city or a group of conservatives do anything of the like? Almost never. And by the way, it is not just the residents in the Tenderloin area, and it's not just them asking for their tax money back. There is actually a plan in place in order to withhold taxes from the city of San Francisco until it cleans up the streets. And by the way, they're on a bit of a streak. I know, again, it's a lefty hellhole, but they did throw out Chesa Boudin in a recall election. So that just kind of goes to show you that even the most lefty place on planet Earth, where Silicon Valley is, has their limits. They will take a stand, and they have the Christmas spirit, hence the Christmas hat, and this being my Christmas story.
Chai Say Chow will be celebrating 5 years of plant therapy SF in the Tenderloin next year.
Is there anything more San Francisco than the business being described by this local news segment? She just said that this guy is celebrating 5 years, meaning he's been in business for 5 365-day cycles plus 1 leap year of plant-based therapy. The guy is a therapist for plants, and he's in business in one of the most expensive places to operate in the country, serving obviously the rich Silicon Valley types who are so obsessed with their plants that their plants need therapy. This is the guy. This is our champion right here. This is the guy that is carrying the weight of taxation without representation or whatever. This is the modern American revolutionary. And again, he's stepping up where a lot of conservatives are just like, whoa, I gotta pay my taxes and never have any kind of rebellion like this at all. I'm not gonna lead an organization of business owners and landowners in order to threaten the city council. I'm just gonna be a softy coward loser and not do anything. Meanwhile, the plant therapy guy is more base than you. The dude who talks to plants, and honestly, I guess he's kind of a badass because he's scamming rich people out of their time and money because they're actually bringing their plants to him for therapy based on the emotional problems that I'm assuming the plants have developed. But you know what? We're not going to talk about the scam element of this. It's Christmas time. We're just going to talk about how awesome this guy is for trying to get his tax money back and how awesome the business owners are for actually threatening to withhold their tax money from the city of San Francisco in protest.
And I just wanted to bring something, beautiful to the neighborhood.
But it's becoming harder to stay in business there.
A lot of businesses have closed down. A lot of, the best restaurants have closed down. So it's very sad to see.
And more than just shuttered shops, the Tenderloin Business Coalition, a group of mostly business owners and property owners, says the root of the problem is the open-air drug dealing happening because of ineffective policing. The group calling the city out, saying it's abandoned its commitment to provide safety. And in bold, the group wants a refund of all sales and property taxes paid this year.
Respect. Again, I love the demands. I know people are going to say it's symbolic, but in politics, whenever you're dealing with power, symbols actually do matter. They actually do have an impact. Now, I do want to go over some things about San Francisco. We've talked ad nauseum about the shoplifting epidemic, the organized retail theft, the fact that they did a bust of $8 million in merchandise being stolen from mostly CVS and Walgreens and all these pharmacies that are shutting down. But I do want to talk about some of the images that we saw on screen, as well as something else that San Francisco is known for. So, San Francisco, by the way, if you guys are unaware, is the car breaking capital of the country right now at this moment. Again, a place where Silicon Valley is, one of the wealthiest places in the United States of America, if not the wealthiest neighborhoods if you're just focusing on Silicon Valley. And car break-ins have gotten so bad that a lot of people just open up their trunks because they would rather the people rifle through their car to look for whatever they're going to look for rather than smash their windows. That's how bad it's gotten.
Has it come to this? Drivers leaving their back doors wide open to show thieves there's nothing valuable inside. The startling photo was taken in Oakland, California, in a region staggered by a wave of smash-and-grab robberies.
There it goes, it just broke in.
Florist Parissa Hamat left that black SUV open.
I leave my car door open so that there's nothing in my car. And they can see that there's nothing to take.
And anecdotally, my cousin actually visited San Francisco, and the person at the rental car desk told them, you definitely have to get the insurance because your window will be broken, and without fail, my cousin's window in his rental car was in fact broken. That's how absurd San Francisco is. That's how insane it is. That rental insurance, which I never recommend purchasing, is actually warranted because they're just letting crime get out of hand. But it goes much further than car break-ins. It goes much further than shoplifting and organized retail theft. Just look at the images of the needles all on the streets. This is due in large part to the fact that San Francisco gives out needles so that drug users don't get HIV or other communicable diseases by sharing needles. However, this is not really a needle exchange program. I believe that they somehow give out 3 times as many needles as they get back, and that's because there is no incentive for them to give back the needles. Now, by the way, we are in a tight spot in this country. You just need to look at the fentanyl overdoses and all these other problems related to drugs in this nation that can be dated back to the opioid epidemic and all of those issues. So I understand even trying to institute a policy like this, as this has been done, and successfully so, in places like Portugal. However, there's a dramatic difference between what's going on in Portugal and what's going on in San Francisco. In San Francisco, they just give out needles, something like 300,000 a month, and they're only getting back around 100,000 needles in this so-called exchange program. Most of them end up on the street like this, and you could see the children walking by these needles. And if the whole point of this is to stop the spread of communicable diseases, that get transmitted through needle using, then you don't want the needles all over the streets with kids who pick up everything, step on anything, and that could affect people who are not in the drug user demographic. What you need to do is actually copy Portugal if you're going to have one of these programs, which is have an injection site. You bring the drugs there. Obviously, you have medical staff that will offer them treatment, rehab, and all those things. They also have Narcan in case they OD, because what's happening right now is the city of San Francisco is wasting the money of its citizens, of its taxpayers, and creating litter and all kinds of problems on the streets, all in the name of being compassionate to drug users. But in reality, when you just give them the needles and let them inject wherever they want, whatever they want, that's not compassion. That is enabling.
So far, 150 have signed the petition, and Chai plans to do so too.
Paying those taxes does, add up, and I think that a lot of these businesses that have survived the pandemic and survived everything else, now we're just like, just hanging on by a thread.
This guy, again, is channeling the founding fathers. This Asian dude with a bit of a lisp and honestly a questionable business, being a plant therapist, is doing more than I've seen random conservatives do across the country. He's joining up with 150 business owners to demand their tax money back. They're saying they've had enough. They're pointing out that it doesn't add up, and I'm all for it, all in support of it. And again, where are the conservatives in this regard?
The coalition is also demanding immediate removal of all drug dealers, ongoing and rigorous law enforcement, and a meeting with Mayor London Breed.
Again, totally agree, totally on board. This experiment of quasi-legalizing drugs absolutely everywhere is not working. It is not producing better results. It is producing more litter and more problems and more crime in an area that, of course, is known for the wealth, expensive rent, all those other things. And you should not be seeing this. When they pan to the streets of San Francisco, a lot of it looks like a third world country. Everything on the sidewalk does, at least. But you look at the buildings, you look at the structures, and it's like, oh, this is a historic piece of Americana. This is one of our great cities. The Golden Gate Bridge, which brings you to San Francisco, is considered one of the most beautiful bridges in the world. And what do we do with all the natural advantages of this great city? We waste it. We give it over to the addicts, the vagrants, the criminals. It's absurd. It's insane, and I'm totally on board with these business owners, even plant therapy guy, who I find to be very questionable.
Her office telling us, in part, Mayor Breed has been clear on our need to end open-air drug dealing in the Tenderloin. The mayor knows this is challenging work, and she's partnering with a district attorney who is focused on bringing prosecutions and supporting the police department to make the arrest.
You have Mayor London Breed saying, oh, we definitely share the concern. We're definitely worried about the drug dealing. It's definitely an issue, and I've made a commitment as mayor to partner with the district attorney, support the police in the ending of the open-air drug dealing. But it's a complicated problem. No, it's not. Not at all. Not even a little bit. It is not that complicated. If you want to get rid of open-air drug dealing, what you should do is prosecute the open-air drug dealers to the fullest extent of the law for open-air drug dealing. If you don't want drug dealing absolutely everywhere, then you should at least put some effort into pushing them out of, anywhere in the city. Just say one area. No, you can't do it, and I guarantee you the drug dealers will move. And when the drug dealers move, a lot of the addicts will move. It's all good. It will work, I'm telling you. And again, set up the injection sites. If you want to give needles to these people, and I know a lot of people are against that on its face, but to be clear, I do think there is some value in preventing the spread of certain diseases like HIV and all of that. But if that is your goal, then have the injection sites. No more of this needles end up absolutely everywhere. It's absurd. You got to work on it. And San Francisco just hiring people to deal with the problems of their other policies, like pick up the needles, pick up the poop, pick up all these other issues that we've heard so much about, is not a solution. Get them contained in centralized locations where you can get these people the help that they need if they're addicts, if you actually care about them, and stop giving out the needles. Cut it out. Seriously.
Supervisor Dean Preston has another concern, saying, I share the frustration of Tenderloin residents and small businesses who often feel ignored by the city. He goes on to say, with the recent closure of the Tenderloin Center, I worry that we will see even more devastation on our streets now that the 400 plus folks who visited the center have nowhere to go.
So that Dean guy, the San Francisco supervisor, a totally worthless position that could be gotten rid of. But again, Democratic politics is machine politics. It's all about creating jobs for people in order to maintain your power, is clearly and obviously not concerned about the business owners of San Francisco. When you say, I share their concerns, I'm totally worried about it, but you have no skin in the game, like this supervisor doesn't, obviously. But look about the addicts that are going to be over there that close down the center. Let's think about them. Aren't they suffering? Let's do more programs for them. This is a guy calling to extract more money out of the business owners, not less, and he's absolutely not going to solve anything because these people are ideologically opposed to protecting property rights. Even though that is the basis of a modern successful civilization, they would rather protect the right of the addicts to destroy an area than protect the people who actually produce the tax money that allow dopes like this to even have a job in the first place.
In August, the Castro Merchants Association threatened to withhold taxes unless the city did something about similar problems. The association says it met with the city and different departments many times since to get updates on what it's doing to address those concerns.
Yeah, that's right. This is not the only neighborhood that is embracing the strategy. The Castro neighborhood actually also is threatening to withhold tax money from the city of San Francisco if they don't get what they want to get done, which I gotta appreciate. They're going one step further than asking for a refund. They're actually deciding whether or not they're going to refuse to pay. And again, tell me what conservative organization is advocating for this. You know these are all lefties. They're in San Francisco. They have remained in San Francisco despite the fact that the city has gone on decline. Obviously, they voted out Boudin, so they're not that crazy in terms of leftism, but they stepped up, they stood up, and they're threatening to withhold tax money from the city, something that no resident of a conservative state, no conservative organization would actually do. I mean, a lot of them want to change tax policy, reduce tax rates, and all that, and I'm obviously on board for that. But the idea that you're going to unite as a block and basically say, prosecute all of us because we cannot stand for this is absolutely amazing. It is the dose of hope that I needed in this holiday season, and it's coming out of San Francisco of all places. The birthplace of Drag Queen Story Hour has some of the most badass actually stand up for what they believe in, actually fight back against the system residents, and I'm absolutely on board with it. Now, I'm sure people are going to criticize them, organizations that get funded through the government and these nonprofits, NGOs that are all tied in with the government are going to say, wow, what a bunch of meanies. Capitalism is ruining everything. But in reality, we have all at least been led to believe, even though I always disputed this because I'm way smarter, 10,000 IQ than the average bear, that when you pay higher taxes, you're supposed to see that reflected at least somewhat in public services. For instance, in New York City, we have one of the best, most data-driven police forces on planet Earth, the NYPD. However, when they start pulling back the NYPD, or in San Francisco, the San Francisco PD, when everything seems to be falling apart, you realize that this is just not the case, and you're just paying through the nose for worse and worse services. And to give you an idea of where San Francisco is at in terms of their headspace, one of the things that they want to do is stop releasing mugshots to the public of the criminals because they're worried that if you see who's actually committing the crimes, you will become more of a racist, a racialist, a racializer, because we all know, based on every crime statistic ever, who is disproportionately committing most of the crime. So that's what they're focused on. I'm hoping the shock treatment from the business owners in these two neighborhoods, hopefully it expands out to more, will actually do something to change the results, because if we can start to see some strain, some little bit of conservative governance in the city of San Francisco, that gives us hope everywhere. I've been talking for a long time about how crime is an issue that gets at the heart, it gets us in the gut, and it allows all of us, or it at least can move all of us if it gets bad enough. San Francisco, it is bad enough. The litter is bad enough. These people may be the super ultra compassionate, liberal, like kind of person that you don't want to be around, that you don't want to get stuck in a conversation with, but they do have their limits, and their kids stepping on needles and all these other problems are seemingly at the point where they can't stand for it. The business owners not being allowed to function as the city's giving over to the vagrants seems to be like finally at the level where they might want to fight back. They've already gotten rid of Boudin. Hopefully they get rid of London Breed. Hopefully they institute somebody who's a little bit better than both of them. I know it's hard to be worse than Boudin, but London Breed is still there. You need to get rid of her, and we see some change. Now I know, again, it's just a hopeful story, but it's Christmas. I'm allowed to hope on Christmas, So I just will leave it off to you guys so you guys can respond to the comments and tell me what you think of this update. Are the San Francisco business owners more based than anywhere across the country, or is this just a blip in the radar? Do you think withholding tax dollars will actually produce change, or will all of a sudden they be able to figure out how to prosecute people once it's their money on the line? Again, let me know all your thoughts in the comments below. If you like the video, show them by leaving a like, subscribe for more content, follow me on all my social media, support me via the support links in the description box of this video. This has been me talking about some hope out of San Francisco of all places, and it's Christmas Day. Till next time.